In this video, we're going to be looking at what parts came with my 2024 KTM 300 EXC TBI. I'm going to start with one important thing that didn't come with my 2024, and that's a printed version of the owner's manual. I do like having a printed version of the manual in the workshop so I can reference data and screw torques, etc. So what I did was downloaded the owner's manual from the KTM website from this link here and printed out and put it in a ring binder so I can access that easily and it stays open on the page you're looking at. So if you want a printed version, I suggest doing that. Something handy which was included was a toolkit, and I'm going to get all the tools out to show you exactly what's contained in the kit. So the toolkit is a tool roll and contains all of these tools. So I included some pliers with cutters, torques, bits, which fit onto the multi-tool, as do the hex sockets. So I've got a 15, 20, 30 and 45 Torx bit, and then 6, 8 and 10 hex socket bits, which fit onto either end of this multi-tool. And then there's a spoke wrench with a 10mm wrench on the other end, and a 10mm combination wrench, 30mm combination wrench, and then a multi-tool. So the 30mm is good for the rear axle bolt, and then you've got 17 for the front axle bolt. If you flip it over, there's 21. This can be used as a plug wrench, and the part on the end is shaped so you can use it as a tire lever. So handy kit, pleased to see it's included. Next up are handguards. So these are flag style KTM OEM handguards included. They're pretty well made, pretty strong, but in recent years I've been using wraparound alloy guards. So I'm not going to be using these, but if you like flag guards, then I would suggest using these. It comes with a mounting kit. Next up are some items which you might want to fit if you're going to be riding your bike on the road and want to make it road legal. A couple of mirrors, some mirror mounts for the handlebar, horn reflectors for the front fork. There's a steering lock which is completely different from previous years. Before it used to be incorporated into the steering head in the frame. From 2024 they've made it separate, so I like this because I never use the lock anyway, and I'd much prefer it not to be part of the frame. So in my opinion this is a good move. And then there's a tail mount for the license plate and a reflector. Also included were some handy items. So you got some decals for the front fork tubes, which provide some protection to scratches and small stone chips. So I'll install those, and I'll probably also install some heavier duty protection over the top. And you got some inline fuel filters. So these go in the connector which joins the tank to the injectors. And in the manual it says to change the fuel filter at the first 1 hour service. I think that's because the tank can include some waxy deposits which you want to get rid of as soon as possible. So I'll be doing that. Nice to see they included 3. Also a 13-tooth front sprocket. Stock my EXC model came fitted 1445. I think that's going to be way too tall for the riding I do. If you're doing high-speed riding, that's probably okay, but I tend to do more technical terrain, steeper terrain. So I'm going to probably try this 13 tooth with 50 rear tooth and see how that feels. On my car bikes I've been using 1250 gearing, but you should note that the car bikes and TPI bikes use different internal transmission ratios. So the 24 model is completely different. So you should expect to have to use different final drive ratios to achieve a similar feeling to your previous bike. Also included is a wash kit. This plugs the ends of the inline connector for the fuel if you want to take the tank off. There's also a wake-up dongle which you can use to prime the oil pump, get rid of any air bubbles in the oil line. Spark plug. This one is, the box is labeled BR7ES, and that's already in my bike. If you look in the manual, the recommended plug for the 24 is the BR7ES. The plug in the box is the ZGR7GI. So a very small element. I think this was used to for the emissions testing and to make it road legal, etc. Together with the anti-smog kit, which I'll show you next. And there's also a bushing. If you want the side stand to flick up when you remove weight from it, you can put this bushing on with a longer screw and do that. I hate that, so mine's got the shorter bushing, and it stays down when you remove weight from it. And finally, we have some emissions reduction related equipment which has been removed from my bike. So this is a narrowband lambda sensor, and the combination of this, the stock pipe which has two catalytic converters, and also this plate which fits inside the airbox and restricts it severely. It's got 4 small holes, and a different map results in low emissions but also very low power, makes it unrideable basically. So that's all been removed. Also, evap system has been removed as well. So this controls or stops vapor or fuel spilt from the fuel tank via the breather hose. So there's originally a pipe which goes from the fuel tank breather hose to a canister, and then this pipework connects up to that canister. And this is a solenoid which can be switched on or off. If it's on, vapor and fuel can pass from the canister into the throttle body, for example in startup or other modes, and burn off any vapor or fuel within the canister. I don't want that. I want to simplify my bike as much as possible, reduce weight, also make it as reliable as possible. So I was keen to take this off. And one issue you could have, for example, if this became stuck on, it would result in the engine running over rich. So I was keen to remove that. I'll also remove the canister which is inside the frame. So maybe make a video about that. It should be pretty easy to remove, but be interesting anyway. Anyway, that's all that came with my bike, and some good things and not so good things. This I personally don't need any of it, but depending on where you ride and whether there's emissions testing for licensing, etc., you might well need that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video.